happy Wednesday, everyone. It's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here with another edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. We'll take a deep dive into our forecast for the next several days. We'll talk a little bit more about the winter forecast, which will go online around this time on Thursday evening. And, yeah, lots to talk about this evening, despite it being a pretty quiet weather pattern coming up. Of note today, the growing season officially came to an end in our area because at the Youngstown Warren Airport, where we get our official observations from, we dipped below freezing this morning. 30 was the low this morning, 46 the high today. A chilly November 3rd today. Of note also, while we did have a 1/100th of an inch of precipitation since midnight, not shown here, the trace of snow that we officially recorded at the airport very early this morning, well before sunrise, making it the first official snowfall of the season. 30 degrees was our low locally this morning, where it was clear from start to finish all night. It got even colder. Frosty 27 in New Philly and Zanesville. 32 in Wheeling, and 29 was the low this morning in Pittsburgh. So our growing season ends at 180 days. Just a reminder, the growing season defined as from the last freeze of the spring to the first one of the fall season. Our average is about 165 days here in our area. Our growing season would have been longer had we not had such a chilly May. We didn't have our last freeze of the spring until well into May, and that shortened the growing season somewhat. In modern times, the longest growing season on record, 2007, 189 days. We eclipsed 200 days back in those very warm years back in the 1930s. But in modern times, 189 is the number to beat. We came close a couple of years ago in 2019 with 185 days. We didn't have our first freeze that year until November 1st. We did beat that this year as far as the first freeze of the fall. Waited until November the 3rd. Of course, October was balmy, especially at night, and we just did not have many opportunities for temperatures to get close to freezing. All right, in the mix today, we've had some sprinkles, we've had some flurries mixed in here and there. Most of the day, pretty uneventful, just chilly stuff. And yeah, we're sharing in this in most of the eastern U.S., in fact, east of the Rockies. It's pretty chilly. Now, it's November. This isn't a super unusual weather map for November, but it's a little more like mid to late November rather than early November, and in fact the cold is penetrating far enough to the south that freeze warnings are out for just about the entire state of Kentucky, a lot of the lower Ohio River Valley, down towards the mid-Mississippi Valley as well. The growing season, even though it officially ended today in our area, in the areas of jurisdiction, if you will, for the National Weather Service offices in Cleveland and Pittsburgh, they determined that on November 1st they wouldn't issue any frost or freeze products at that point, because while the growing season hadn't officially ended at that point, for all intents and purposes, it's over November the 1st. So that means no more frost and freeze products for our region here in the fall season. All right, foliage report this week. Now, to my eye, even though on the map here, the past peak colors are to our east, to my eye, we're a little past peak now. Still, no matter which way you slice it, whether we have high color, past peak color, we still have a fair amount of color for the first part of November. It's November the 3rd, and, you know, a lot of trees still have a decent amount of leaves on them, depending on the type of tree, of course. And depending on the type of tree and the type of leaves, colors, you know, are still popping here and there. Other places, they're pretty dull, and in some places we have bare trees. But, yeah, I think the number of leaves on the trees and the amount of color we still have is pretty impressive for early in November. All right, as we head through our Thursday, it's going to be kind of like today. We'll start the day with a little more cloudiness than we did today, but the lake effect regime, not particularly impressive tomorrow in our viewing area. There'll be some lake effect rain showers setting up with a little bit of a west-southwest flow for a time. Most of this aimed up towards Ashtabula County, Erie County, PA, southwestern New York, some graupel, some snowflakes mixed in as well. Now, in our area, could we see a sprinkle or flurry or maybe even a couple of graupel pellets, sleet pellets in northern Trumbull, northern Mercer? That's going to be possible, but most of us won't see that. Most of us will just have another pretty ho-hum chilly day for tomorrow. We'll get off to a cold, frosty start Friday morning. A clear night Thursday night, Friday morning. Temperatures dropping into the mid-20s. Yeah, there'll be some thick frost. We'll be scraping if your car is out and you're trying to get on the road early Friday morning. Otherwise, a sunny day Friday and mostly sunny skies for the entire upcoming weekend. This is a quiet forecast. Aside from that stray sprinkle or flurry chance in our northern viewing area tomorrow, nothing for the next week. Things are looking pretty quiet, and temperatures will respond nicely to all the sunshine we'll see by the weekend and early next week. In fact, by Tuesday, as many as 10 degrees warmer than the average. And by Tuesday, our average high is about 53. So 62, 63 degrees will be attainable, I think, early on next week. But then I think there'll be a pretty sudden change towards the end of next week into the following weekend. Probably the coldest air mass of the season so far. Should make inroads about 10 days from right now. And modeling is trending colder for the second half of November. So starting right around, what would that be? Like the 14th, 15th, and on, we may be in a pretty consistently chilly pattern for the tail end of November. All right, tomorrow, November the 4th, is the debut of my annual winter forecast, as you may know by now if you've been following these videos of late. Short version on 21 News at 6 and 11. I'm restrained by time on TV. I've only got 3 minutes. But I can ramble as long as I like on these online videos, and those longer versions that'll have more detail, that'll get into some of the why the forecast is what it is, even some meteorology. I realize that, you know, I'm one of the very few meteorologists, actual meteorologists, who are going to be watching this video. Most of you are, of course, not meteorologists, but I'll try to keep the meteorology as basic as I can, and a lot of people find that stuff interesting, even if they don't, you know, 100% understand all of what I'm saying. A lot of people want to know, you know, why the forecast is what it is. This winter, will it be different than the last 6? We've had 6 warmer than average winters in a row. Now, 2017, 2018, and then last winter were close to average, but they still ended up a little warmer than average. We had a couple of balmy ones in 15, 16, and 16, 17. Of course, 19, 20 was a pretty balmy and relatively snow-free winter. We haven't had legit cold in the winter season for the season as a whole since the back-to-back real cold ones, 2013, 14, 2014, 15. Those winters reminded a lot of people of the winters of the mid to late 70s. Those were some of the coldest winters we've had since the mid to late 70s. But ever since then, our winters have not been particularly cold. Will this year be different? In 24 hours, you'll find out. Again, 21 News, 6 and 11, the longer version on the Storm Tracker 21 app, wfmj.com/weather, my Facebook, my Twitter. We'll link to it on Instagram even, and of course my YouTube channel, where I know a lot of you are watching this video right now. It'll be on there, probably between, say 7:30 and 7:45 on Thursday evening. So I look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, thanks for watching tonight, and have a great rest of your Wednesday night.